Not the Footy Show.
I'll talk to you. Can you send everyone else away?
Go! Back. What's going on?
You've been sent off. He called me an effing then, so he can go.
Once again, crisis has brought out the best in us.
Very heated in the moment, sort of acted out within a split second. Think back now, I shouldn't have said what I said, but I let my emotions get the best of me, and if I could take it back, I probably would have.
We understand there were some further words spoken in the dressing room or the tunnel area. Can you take us through that?
Yeah, I remember walking back into the sheds, and I forget who was in there already, but sort of speaking there loudly. Wasn't aware that the refs were in the tunnels, and yeah, they must have heard me say what I said in the sheds. But it wasn't, didn't say it directly to their face, it was just sort of me venting out loud in the sheds, and they happened to hear it. I went and approached the ref, and I said I was very sorry. Obviously, it was very unprofessional of me to act out the way I did, and obviously I made myself look bad, the club look bad, and it's not the type of person I am. So yeah.
Do you understand your choice of words are considered highly offensive to people living with disabilities?
I do now. At the time, I didn't. Growing up, I sort of used the word differently, not knowing what it actually meant. Now that I know what it means, I'm very apologetic. I did not mean any harm, or I didn't mean to use it in a derogatory type of way to offend anyone. If I have offended anyone, I am very sorry. Anyone with disability, I do not make fun of any disabled people. And I'll be working closely with the club over the next couple of weeks that I'm suspended to offer my support to anyone that was offended by my words, and hopefully can make amends for what I said.
We have done a podcast on Tuesday night. It's the 7th of July, and the first topic that we went into was Addin Fonua-Blake's comments, the two comments that he made to the referee on the weekend. Since we have recorded and we've displayed and offered some opinions on the subject, Addin has actually released a video on the Manly website where he's answered a bunch of questions relating to his comments, particularly the follow-up one, which has landed him in even more hot water. Now, our viewpoints were informed on everything that was said before these comments from Fonua-Blake, and I've played them just now before this section. Gents, obviously your viewpoint was before, an hour ago. Has it changed at all before people listen to what you're about to say in regards to Fonua-Blake? Dave?
I think the fact that he's come out and apologised is, it's what you're supposed to do, but when they do it in that press conference way, it's very hard to take it.
So there's a media manager feeding questions to him, and then he's answering. Yes.
And even the questions that are coming through are a bit, I don't know, they were sort of stagnant or whatever. I think everyone agrees. You just don't say that. You just don't do that. It's just wrong.
Yep.
And really, that's where it's got to stop, doesn't it? That's it. It's wrong.
Just admit that it's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob.
I totally agree. I still think what he said was in bad taste. I still believe that it was wrong. I'm glad that he has showed some sorrow for what he said. I'm not entirely sure that he's sorry for what he said, or if it's because he got caught saying what he said. Look, it's a high pressure situation for not only the referee, but the players. They've just worked their butts off for 80 minutes, and to feel, whether you're ripped off or not, to feel like you've just been shortchanged can make you explode. But hopefully whatever sentence he gets will be enough for him to consider his words next time, and hopefully for some juniors who may be watching and understand that they too should choose their words wisely and not be derogatory towards people with disabilities. So,
and even
It's just that those words just aren't very nice, you know, to refer to someone who's clearly.
And we go into this in detail in our next segment. Dave, any last comments before we play that?
Yeah, in general, you should be trying to control your temper anyway. In general, you shouldn't be, you know, cutting loose at the referees. And in general, you shouldn't be using those kind of words to put someone down. The crux of what I didn't like about his public statement tonight via video is that there's this classic line that gets put out there, and this is the one. I didn't mean to use it in a derogatory way to offend anyone, and if I offended anyone, I am very sorry. Just say you're sorry. Say that it actually it cuts you, that you've made a mistake. But to put the little clarifier at the end, I'm glad he's done it, but the clarifier just it takes the wind out of it as far as I'm concerned. And you'll hear what we think about it coming up on the rest of the episode. Hope you enjoy it. But yeah, it's a pretty serious topic that I don't think we've heard the end of, because the CEO of the NRL, Andrew Davis, said that there will be further punishment coming for Addin Fonua-Blake. Enjoy the rest of the show. Here's episode 219 of Not The Footy Show.
Not The Footy Show.
Okay, we're back, and it's time to get stuck into the title of this podcast, which is Once a Grub, ... How does that finish, Dave? Generally, that when someone says once a grub, how does it finish? That saying?
Once a grub, 2 weeks later, a butterfly.
That wasn't what I was looking for. Rob, you might have a go.
Once a grub, always a grub. How about that? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, you've played that beautifully. We've got a couple of those, unfortunately, out of round number 8, and that is Addin Fonua-Blake on Sunday afternoon when he unleashed a tirade on referee Atkins, and he's been given 2 weeks suspension that he's accepted. He was facing 3 if he went to the judiciary and fought it. Now, we're starting with him and not Joey. We'll get to Joey in a sec, but AFB has got an interesting backstory, to say the least, and that's as far as we'll go with that. But in the last 12 months or so, he's definitely, what's the word? He hasn't endeared himself to opposition fans. Is that a fair statement, Rob?
I think he likes to get under their skin, mate. I actually think he's a fantastic player. I think he's one of the best front rowers in the comp. And look, I think he overstepped the line on the weekend. I think he would even probably say that. But you know, I think he was unwittingly kind of provoked a little bit. I don't know if he was. A lot of people would blow up in that situation, even pros like NRL players, you know. And look, it's not the first time this year that that Manly have maybe been given the rough end of the pineapple from the jurisdiction, namely the referees and the bunker. So it's a difficult one. He shouldn't have said what he said. He said was out.
That's the issue that's really at play here. It's funny because you know that players in your games, the obscenities are hurled in the general direction of referees at different times. It's a matter of how it's linked to the second word generally. And in this particular...
Surely the ref makes his decision each time about what...
Yeah, something wrong is different to
Yeah.
you're a something. There's a real difference in that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned there, Rob, that's the point I'm going to jump on. We led the podcast the last time Manly apparently got dudded with Tommy Trebojevich's reaction right after the game to that forward pass. And he said, that's footy. Now, he didn't run at the referee and call him a something.
He was angry at the time, but then afterwards he can't.
He couldn't believe it. But this goes back to what I'm talking about with regards to the name of the pod. If you've got this in you, you've got this in you. And you heard Des the other night afterwards say, it's not in his nature and, you know, he shouldn't have said it. And at least Des was open about the fact he shouldn't have said it. But there is something come out today, Rob. Dave didn't know about it. Do you know about the second thing that's been said?
No, I don't. And who's it by, though? Is it by Jake or is it by Addin?
I don't know. From Fonua-Blake, there is allegation today by Ray Hadley that on the referee's report, get this, that he has called him a something, and I use this word as respectfully as possible, spastic is the word that is used in regards to Atkins. And that wasn't known apparently when the charges got laid, and Volandis has come out and said that he is going to throw the book at him as a result of this. Now, you didn't know about that. Dave didn't know about that. How does this make you guys feel if he's, I guess, doubled down on this lack of a better way of putting it, stereotype in terms of an insult. And that's the issue here, is that he didn't just say you're wrong. He said these words. How do you guys both feel? Dave, you can start.
All right. Well, I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I personally don't care. I understand that there are people out there that do care, and I understand that it's not the nicest word, but it's also just for one. I'm going to start using. Sometimes people just use colourful language just because they want to insult someone, and it's not meant to be. What's the word? Derivative? It's not meant to be bringing anyone down in any way. It doesn't matter if it hurts people. It hurts people, but tell him he's not allowed to say it, but don't overreact to it. Don't make it out as though he's used. It's the same as a C word or something.
This
like
is
that.
worse, man.
You reckon?
This is worse, Rob. I reckon it's worse. I can't agree with you at all.
Well, the reports are right, and I'm not going to mix my words up. The reports are initially he called Grant Atkins. He said he was pushed in the back. You effing retard. Okay, that's apparently what the first thing he said to referee Atkins was. Now, like you say, he's doubled down and he's referred to the referee as somebody who suffers from maybe a horrible illness. I agree with Dave in a way. He's not saying that's what you are. He's
found a name to call the guy.
I think
that doesn't make it okay.
It's not good. It's not good either way. Yeah. But look, the frustration, some people handle frustration differently. Some people throw their toys out of the pram, like Addin did on the weekend, and he probably he needs to watch his mouth going into the future. If Volandis said he's going to throw the book at him, I dare say that Addin may sit down for a month or so on this. And I'd hate to see that because he hasn't really hurt anyone. He hasn't taken a player out off the ball. He hasn't punched anyone in the face. He hasn't intimidated a referee, but what he did still is not right, and he will get a punishment for it. I can't see him getting off if the chairman of the board has said we're going to throw the book at him.
Yeah. On top of the original charge, yeah. Dave?
But is everyone upset about the fact that he's disrespected a referee, or is everyone upset about him using that kind of language?
It's both, and the kicker in this is the language. It's the language. I disagree with you completely about whether he meant it as derogatory or not. He meant it as derogatory. He wouldn't use it. If he just said you are something wrong, I'm with you about the frustration. But you can't say this word and just say, it's just a word I come up. I can't agree with you at all there.
No, I hear you. It's an insult because of what it means, because of what you're referring to. But if he said you effing idiot, would everyone be just as upset?
He may have been sent off, but it wouldn't be the same deal. No.
Yeah, he wouldn't be in as much trouble
as
he is now. I don't think he would have been. I think he could have probably called him an effing anything other than a minority group or a group of people that may be suffering from an illness, and probably not have felt this kind of weight on him. Don't worry, DC. I'm kind of with you. I got a foot in each camp here, and I'm not being agreeable because I know you think agreeable's been boring, but I do.
Boring. I'll say that much.
I do understand your argument, mate. And some people are particularly thin-skinned about it, but as an organisation, I think they probably should be a little bit thin-skinned about it, given that it's not something that you want your 10-year-old boy running around and calling people. And we know how juniors can see, one thing on the field on the weekend, the next weekend they go off and emulate it. And I would dare say that if a junior was to refer to a referee in that such way, they'd probably get a year off. And I know that when junior organisations punish you, they will punish you hard. And
Volandis mentions that.
Does he?
He refers very much to this is what could be said on the weekend as a result. So, and this is after the Hadley report. So where we're at, and this is the second part of this. AFB, we know what he is and we know how he's reacted here. What really took the the cake for me was the statement that he released.
I haven't seen it.
The club released on his behalf. They've written something for him, and he's then been attributed to it.
Yep.
What was hard to stomach wasn't the fact that they said that he went into the rooms and apologised afterwards. Well done. I got no doubt. That's good. But it's a written statement. It's not him standing there reading something out. I could have lived with him standing there reading it out, but this is purely just a written statement that has so much club speak in it is ridiculous. I'm not saying that he didn't necessarily mean that he was, what's the word?
Yeah, but you can...
He wasn't...
Contrite.
I'm not saying he was, but you've got to say that
but there's
on
the
camera.
element. Yeah, that's right. The element's there for people to think that it might be.
And that's the thing
You're better off doing it
that
on
struck me about it. It's just like, given he's crossed this line, and he has crossed a line, he has to say it publicly. He can't just say it as a statement. And what is going to be very interesting is if this next one sees him get 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks or 4 more weeks, not only is he going to have to stand up and actually say something publicly, if they send another statement out that's written, honestly, get your head read. But the biggest thing they have to do, and it's got alluded to in the article that was written around the Hadley comments, is he's going to have to do a lot of community service now. He's going to have to be very, very proactive in regards to that. And it could be the best thing for him. As much as I've labelled this podcast once a grub, always a grub, maybe it's what he needs. Maybe he needs that reality check.
Is it going to make up for it? Is community service going to all of a sudden mean that...
We've got to hope that he can change. That's my view on it. Anyway, there's got to be something out of this. Just that written statement's not enough.
Does it make him a grub or does it make him a hothead?
Well, I said there's a history here of a few things, especially in the last 12
Has he done
months.
this before? Has he called referees? Has he been in trouble?
He hasn't been charged on this, but you can tell. Look, I couldn't say in round XYZ of 2019 this happened, but I've seen enough football of him playing to know that he's not exactly the cheeriest chap with referees.
The players say this type of stuff to each other on the field and even worse. And does it get reported?
That doesn't make it right, mate.
I know for a fact that players do this.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying that I endorse it, but I know for a fact that players that would be something that a player would call another player, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
If it got reported that a player had called another player that, would the NRL react just as strongly because it got reported and therefore it brings the game into disrepute? And therefore someone's got to
catch you on this. Reported is a strange way of describing what happened the other night. This is the end of the game. A decision goes against Manly, and he runs at the referee and says it to him. That is different than it just being reported that was said.
No, I thought that was in the tunnel as they were going.
No, this is on field.
Okay. There's actual footage. There's footage from northwestern camera looking across as they're walking off, and you can see Addin saying something. I'm no lip reader, but I imagine if you kind of had a hint on what he said, you could probably figure it out. Look, I don't think
the referees at any time. You can't. It's got to be brought down hard.
Well, let's wrap up this part of it first. The decision. And this is the key part in the defence of he's frustrated. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, this is the key part of the whole thing. This referee who he went at actually calls out that it should be a penalty when he referred it to the bunker. The reason he referred it to the bunker, Dave, is that he said, "Is it a penalty try?" I've said, "I've got interference back in further up the play."
Yeah, it's a good point.
So when Maxwell, Jared Maxwell, the video ref, made the decision that was nothing in it, he said, "There's nothing in the lead up." The players, in their moment of madness, actually didn't realise that the bloke who was actually on their side actually the one that sent it upstairs. And Maxwell's got his job, by the way.
Does that mean that they were more wanting...
Sorry, we'll say that again. What, Warwick? Say that again, mate.
Maxwell's doing 3 games this weekend. He hasn't been punished.
Right. Look, I personally think Maxwell got it wrong. Well, that's my personal opinion. I think it should have been a penalty. And I wonder if there is any avenue going forward that it happens at full time. I wonder if there's any avenue going forward for a referee who's in control of the game. The bunker's not in control of the game, so we're told. Could the referee have said, "Yep, it's no try. I'm going back up there and I'm going to award a penalty"? Does he have the power to do
I
that?
thought he could.
It's a breakdown of the system.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
so,
felt like
so
he couldn't because he felt like the video referee was the one that was going to make the full decision there, and the video referee made his decision, and so therefore the on-field referee couldn't.
well,
turn
as far as,
against
as far as I'm concerned, the bunker should only be able to adjudicate on a try, not on, and if there's a foul in the try, if there's a penalty in the try. But I would have thought, and I don't know because I'm no qualified referee, but I would have thought that the referee in control of the match could then have said, okay, I'm looking at the board, it says no try, but I know there was a foul up there and I'm going to go and blow a penalty right there because I'm in control of this game.
I think he can, but the key part of this is that Maxwell categorically says there's nothing in the leader. So he overrules that decision from Atkins.
It's just interesting when the referees do watch the big screen, they get to see it. If he decides that there's something in it, I would have thought that
the pushing the back happened, and then another player came in from the side and knocked him out as well.
No, it was
that was concurrent. Like that kind of
happened.
happened.
As the push went in, Funa went into the fullback.
Yeah,
that was the collision that you saw.
I still think it was a penalty. I honestly think it's a penalty,
and it was a penalty that really mattered.
It was a penalty that, well, it's a sideline penalty that gives them an opportunity to level the score. So you're right, it does matter.
And they watch it on replay, and no one of the 5 or so officials on the night.
It's the one.
Come up with a decision. But that's the problem.
Annesley is saying way too much in these briefings that happen on Mondays because he gets himself in trouble by over trying to explain things. But he basically said he disagrees, and it was a matter of opinion, which is interesting because
he disagrees.
He thinks it should have been a penalty, but he hid behind the whole. It's a matter of a difference of opinion as to why, which is basically every decision. So if they've ever apologised for anything ever,
it's a difference of opinion.
It's a difference of opinion. So anyway, we've got to wrap this part of the show up.
Annesley agrees with us.
Correct. We're going to speak about somebody else that had a bit of a brain snap after the break here on The Footy Show.
Not The Footy Show.